Hey guys, I just wanted to give you a little video update. I'll take you around the cab, show you everything that I've done so far, and then I will go over what still needs to be done to the cab, and hopefully you like what you see. Okay, so the first thing I worked on was the window frame around here. Down here was a rotten piece of metal. I cut all that out, put in a new piece. Up top here, you can see there's been some repair there. There are a few holes. It wasn't so bad that it needed to be replaced. I was able to just fill up a few pinholes and we were all good there. Same with this spot right here. That spot is all replaced right there. This right here, I have the piece made. I still need to replace it. I'm holding off on that and I'll show you why in a few minutes. And then right down here, same thing as the other corner. We replaced the metal down there and got it all fixed up. Nicey nice. Okay, next up was the front cab mount. So this piece had a crack that ran along here and then back into here. So I welded all that up, sanded it down, fixed it up. So this is just as solid as new. Okay, so now for the other cab mount. This one actually was cracked off all along here, and this piece down here had to be replaced. So this is all weld right there. And then this piece is new. And then there was cracks back here and over around there. Fixed all those up. Got everything looking good. So now the front cab mounts are all perfect. Okay, so this is the mid cab mount right here. This was cracked off and messed up down there. So I had to fill this back up with good material and then square off this hole for the carriage bolt that goes through there. And then we also fixed some stuff around here, but I'll go through that in a minute. Okay, and then this is the mid cab mount for the driver's side. Kind of had the same issues down here. Had to replace the metal here, but it was also cracked over here, so we replaced, didn't replace anything, just welded the cracks up. Same down here, except this piece was rotten out, so that piece was replaced when I replaced this piece out here, but we'll go into this one in a minute. But you can see we got everything nice and welded up. There are a few cracks down here. Everything's all smoothed down now. So we're back on the passenger side. This is the A-pillar up in here. So this is your front of the door opening, your hinge right here. This piece in here was really rotten, so I cut it along here so that this whole piece is new. Underneath was rotten, so there's a little bit of a new piece down here. And if I come over here, this piece had a rot line that just followed right along this edge pretty much. So I cut that out. It actually was so bad that this wasn't even connected to the front of the cab anymore. So that's all been replaced on the inside with a new piece and then welded back in, so it's nice and strong, just as good as new. And I did pretty much the same thing on the other side. I'll show you in a second. Okay, back on the driver's side now. So this is the same spot that I was just talking about on the passenger side. We got the A-pillar here, except this one was worse. This one I had to cut it out right along here. So this whole piece is new, all the way back into the door edge here. So it's all new up into here, around this corner here. When it was done, this edge was pushed that way a little bit because the panel wasn't fit right, so I cut along here to push it back that way so that I could separate this and then welded the line back up. There was some rotten metal inside, cleaned that up as well. A few of the welds had cracked here from the factory, so welded those up. Same thing here. A couple of welds had cracked from the factory, so we fixed those up as well. Okay, still on the driver's side. So this is still our door edge that I had just told you I had replaced here. This piece was rotten, so we replaced that a little bit too. We had the same issue with the other rocker where there was a rot line here. So this piece under here is new. This piece is actually new too, the sub piece. because it was rotten out. So like this whole flange was just gone. So there's really nothing connecting these rockers to the A-post anymore, as far as when I got the cab. So now that that's done, it's actually shored everything up really good. Everything is really strong right now. So this is where the seat actually mounts. The previous guy had put in a patch along here, but it only covered about this area. This was still rotten out, and his welds were cracking around the edges, so I decided to just cut it out along here and here, from there and there, so that this whole piece is brand new. I actually upgraded it a bit from the factory. I have captive nuts down in here for where the seat mounts, so you don't have to try and get a nut underneath. So this is actually better than original now, I would say. There is a piece under here, underneath the floor, that holds this whole piece up, that had spot welds along here. Those were all cracked out. They weren't repaired properly the first time. They were just kind of welded over and left in place, but you can still see all the crack marks. So I took that whole piece out when I did this, just to make this easier access, and then put it back in and fixed it nice, which is why there's also spot welds here, because I had to fill up the welds for under there. Alright, sorry about the lighting under here, it's a little dark. But we're underneath the cab now, looking at the back. So this is the driver's side rear cab mount. Before I had this in, right here, the whole cab was sitting up on blocks, so it was open back here. This was removed completely. Then this inner panel was rotten, and the previous guy just put a piece of sheet metal over it, leaving all the rot there, and welded in place and called it a day. So what I did was I came back in, cut all that out, fixed it up, put this new piece in. There was also a hole back here, so this piece right here is new. There were holes underneath, so parts of this is new as well. Some holes up in the bottom of the floor, those were all put back. And I actually had to do this on both the driver's side and on the passenger side. And next I'll show you what the outside of the cab looks like on the back. Okay, so now we're looking at the back of the cab. This is where I've spent the majority of my time so far. You already saw I had to replace the inner cab corners. So cab corners, there and there. The inner sides had to be replaced where the cab mounts were. I also had to replace the outsides because those were done bad as well. There was still a lot of rot down in them, so I took them all off pretty much from there all the way around to the door on both sides. Got cut out and put back in. Now the center of the cab, so this little window there, that was rotten, poorly repaired, and it was beyond saving. So I cut that section out, found a piece from a donor cab. I believe the donor cab was a 50 as well, but they're all the same around that time. And was able to graft that in to where it is. And I can show you better what it looks like on the inside where the graft is. But once that was in, did the body work, got the filler on the outside. And yeah, so pretty much this lower half of the cab is ready for primer now. I just got to get the rest of the cab set up for it. Let me set you up inside and I'll show you what it looks like inside versus outside for this back panel. Okay, so now we're inside the cab, and you can see this is the weld line for where I replaced this piece right here. This was a hole that was there, same with there, had to repair those, and then all this is where the metal was stretched, and I had to shrink it so that it wasn't so wavy anymore for when I tried to put the filler on it, because it was actually oil canning really bad, where if you like press on it, it would kind of click in and out, and you really don't want that. So shrunk this. My plan is with this to put filler in this section right here, because you'll see this if the seat is tilted down, but no filler down here. Obviously the welds are dressed But I'm not going to put filler down here because the gas tank covers this, so you'll never see it once it's all done. Okay, so now this is why I haven't finished the window frame yet. So this is right over the driver's side. This is where your sun visor mounts. He tried to fix this and did a really piss poor job of it. I don't want to send this back to you guys like this because there's still holes in here that water could get through. It's just not good. So I have to replace this whole section right there and a little bit more. And I didn't want to put the piece on the outside till I have this piece shaped and ready to go in, because it's easier to do this piece without that piece in place. So once this gets done, I'll finish the window frame. There is a little bit more damage. Let me see if I can get it in focus. Right along here. So I need to replace this strip as well in there to get that out. Again, he tried to repair it. It's just really not done great. I still get my finger through areas. And yeah, so gotta finish the front. Okay, so we're still inside the cab. This is actually right behind the driver's head. So this is the roof panel right here, the back cab panel right here. And I left the light off on the inside of the cab so you can get a better idea of what's going on. This is sunlight coming through in these areas. So this whole flange right along here is rotten on both sides of the cab panel and the roof panel. So I have to cut this whole seam off and replace a little bit up here and a little bit down here. And that's gonna take some time as well, just like the front windshield mount. So those are actually the two big things that I have left on the cab, but I have gotten a little bit more done that I want to show you. But the windshield and this back roof piece, those are the two big ticket things that I still need to repair before I'm ready to do all the rest of the body work and primer it. And let me show you what else I've gotten done, and then that'll be it. So what I've done most recently is I've gotten the driver's side door on. There were a couple of cracks in the sheet metal on the door, fixed that. Got the hinges put in, cleaned up, put new hinge pins in because the old ones were gone. And then you can see up top here, same deal. There were a couple of cracks next to the hinge, fixed that, and got it all put on. And zoom out here, and I will move, close the door, and let you see what it looks like. All the gaps are pretty good. For a farm truck, it's not terrible. I'm happy with it. I think you'll be happy as well. So let's stand back. Look at that beautiful door. As for the Bondo that's on the outside, that wasn't me. That was the previous gentleman. I don't know why he did this. Let me quickly show you inside. And you can see he kind of used a torch on it for some reason. Looking in old photos that you sent me, there didn't look to be any damage on the outside of this door, so I don't know why he did this, but it really messed up the metal on the door, but not to the point that it needs to be replaced. It just looks unsightly. So as far as repairing this, I'm not going to repair it. The metal is fine underneath. What I will do is make sure that this filler work is flat, add more if I need to, but as far as fixing the metal underneath, it really doesn't need to be repaired. It's fine as is. He just messed it up worse than it already was. But that is that. Now I'm working on the passenger door. I'll show you right here. There's a passenger door. And we'll be putting that in hopefully this week. So if there's anything else you guys want from me or questions, just let me know.